What is up, YouTube? Jason here. I am here today with a video on Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I just read part 5, chapter 4. Raskolnikov has confessed to Sonia, and hoping, I think, to relieve himself of this burden, this guilt he is carrying around with him everywhere he goes. He's just recently had to cast off his mother and his sister because he doesn't see the possibility of continuing continuing a relationship with them, having a familial rapport, a relationship with them, given the guilt and despair he has for himself, which just makes him hate them even the more, But of course, telling Sonia doesn't seem to make himself better or make himself feel any better, and I want to go into kind of why I think that is, and just touch on some interesting things Raskolnikov said during this chapter. So obviously, Raskolnikov doesn't pick Sonia to confess to for no reason. Sonia is a young prostitute who has sort of taken it upon herself to bear this burden, totally putting her head down in the face of shame, receiving a yellow passport, right, a yellow ticket, marked as a prostitute, and the degradation and shame and judgment that comes along with that. But she's doing it in light of financial need for her family. Obviously, her father, Marmeladov, is now passed away, run over by like a horse and buggy, right? But Katerina Ivanova as well, and her 3 young children, living sort of destitute and in striking poverty, right? So this is sort of her sacrifice, her cross to bear, I guess, as she puts it. So she is, knowingly sacrificing her reputation for the possibility of digging, maybe not digging her family out of poverty, but at least putting food in there on the table, and them not having to worry, and also clothing them. But obviously this money is not clean money. It comes at a great cost. It comes at the cost of her reputation and also her own self-esteem, her self-image. She now, she seems to have, I don't know if she seems to be intelligent enough to realize this, right? So what is Raskolnikov doing? Is Raskolnikov doing something similar? How is his murder, right? Or him murdering the pawnbroker, Alyona and Lizaveta, sort of his cross to bear? Well, it also comes at the cost of his reputation, but also his freedom. And what is this to do? How is this somehow beneficial? It's, in the beginning you have the extraordinary man theory, but you also have, like, how it's told, it's relayed to the reader that his family is in some financial need, right? Everybody's sort of poor, for the most part. Not everybody, not losing, maybe not the police, certainly not losing, maybe not Zvidrigilov, I think that the guy's name that initially likes Raskolnikov's sister, Dunya. but most the characters are living in poverty. And so, is it really to make a difference? Is it to put food on the table, as Sonia kind of does in Earnest? It's really not. Raskolnikov is condemning himself. He is trying to kind of prove to himself that he is a man, and not perhaps a piano key. That's taken from Notes from Underground. But he he can do this. He can be like Napoleon, right? But even, is it even that? That's what Raskolnikov says. So if it's not for financial gain, if Raskolnikov is not murdering for financial gain, and he's also not murdering to prove to himself like that he is an extraordinary man and not a louse, then what is it? Then why does he commit the double homicide? Really, he just went in to murder the pawnbroker. Her sister walks in, so he kills both of them. And really, this is the chief point. Killing Lizaveta is where the chief point of his suffering lies. I feel like it's if the murder would have went to plan and he only kills the pawnbroker, I think it's possible that he finds justification in his murder and can go on living without being plagued by guilt. Because really what he went in there to do, and he kind of alludes to this in this chapter, he killed himself, he's saying. Obviously, this is totally abstract, and in all reality, no, he killed the pawnbroker. But okay, so in his thinking, right, he killed himself. Perhaps he saw a version of himself in her, unscrupulous, maybe not melancholy, but nasty, taking advantage of people, willing to step over people to get where she wants to go. Perhaps Raskolnikov, if he were to follow his extraordinary man theory, this is where it would have led him. So he saw perhaps a version of her, or a part of her in himself. Perhaps he also projected things onto her about himself, and he found a perfect target, right? He found somebody perhaps that he could find justification for murdering, that also maybe not so much resembled as himself, but that he could unload all these negative, unsavory aspects of his character onto, right? He built her up almost in his image, to then be murdered, so he could then condemn himself. Why does he wish to condemn himself? I think that is the question. What is Raskolnikov really condemning himself for? Where is this coming from? This innate feeling to despise himself even before the murder is committed. Is this a character flaw? Is this something wrong, gone awry with his temperament? This tendency to lead towards self-destruction and self-annihilation? Or is it something he picked up along the way? Or is it a mix between the two? I've made many videos. I think it's more so a mix between the two. I think Raskolnikov has a tendency to lean towards isolation, and I think he knows quite a lot about himself. Obviously, having this conversation with Sonia reveals even more about himself, and reveals what he must do to relieve himself of this burden he is carrying. I think he viewed himself among the rungs. He viewed himself the lowest of the low. He viewed himself among the likes of the same worth as murderers, as prostitutes, as sort of these the deplorables of society, right? So, and in viewing himself in that light, he manifested and made it a reality by committing a murder. So then, like, his reality, the reality of what was going on, would match his mental vision of himself. And he would never have to confront, right? The murder would take, center stage, and he would never have to confront this uglier demon that is sort of gnawing away at him. And I'm not entirely sure where this self-hatred is coming from. His inability to see good in people, that's not so much the case. I don't know. It's something I would need to think through. I haven't read the book in quite a while. I haven't made a video in quite a while. But I just decided to pick it back up and read a chapter today, and to see sort of where it took me in my line of thinking about the story. But I thought it very interesting. Eventually he circles back around. He's like, perhaps I am a man. And perhaps I was simply too quickly to condemn myself. And I think we lose track of that. Sometimes our self-worth is so low. And one of my friends, he said, self-worth, they call it self-worth for a reason. It's not it's not, this person's perspective of me, worth. Self-worth, you shouldn't be deriving self-worth from the validation of others, right? But of course, we all do this, and we all seek validation. So yeah. But what's interesting about this whole conversation is the power of conversation. Sort of once Raskolnikov finally feels as though there is somebody on his playing field, his level of depravity, that he feels as though he can open up to and not be dismissed as utterly insane or delirious, that he has a connection with. As soon as he finds this person, conversation reveals the conversation they have when he is actually honest reveals a great deal about himself, but also the path that he must walk in order to seek refuge, to find the refuge, to find the light at the end of the tunnel. And that really speaks to the power of conversation. There will be things you can think about all day that will not reveal themselves to you, questions you ask that will not reveal themselves to you until you have a conversation with somebody else that somebody else you may speak openly and honestly with, and who replies to you in the same way. It's just, it's a testament to the power of conversation, and conversation with somebody who you have a connection with, a deep connection with, a bonding with, right? So perhaps the mind is simply more active. You're accessing different parts of the mind during conversation, as opposed to sort of ruminating in isolation, right? Contemplating in isolation. So yeah, Raskolnikov, obviously, at the end, Sonia gives him a cross, and she says, don't put it on until you have met the suffering, until you have met your, you decide to meet your suffering, and you're not any longer, no longer running away from it. And we'll see if Raskolnikov, and the other cross that she has is one of that belonged to Elizaveta. So we'll see if Raskolnikov decides to wear this cross chooses to bear this cross in earnest and knowingly, and sort of chooses to do what he knows must be done, or will he continue running? Will he continue to allow this, like, man-made suffer? Well, this, like, it's almost like supplemental suffering, or this suffering he sort of created to distract him from really this chief point of suffering that is plaguing him, right? It's sort of, the murder serves as a distraction and an excuse to never answer greater questions about himself, and to never address greater questions about himself, right? Who is he? What is he capable of? Will he choose to do what is needed of him and to live up to his intellect, or not? I'm not entirely sure. I have to think about more so what he's running from, and I might have to look, since I haven't read it in quite a while, I might have to look back, you know, to see exactly what he's running from. But if anybody, and they may not, likely will not, but if anybody does decide to leave a comment, try to answer that question if you'd like to. You know, what is Raskolnikov exactly running from? And what does he hate so much about himself that he decides to find somebody he may attribute his qualities to, you know, he may assign his bad qualities to, so he can then go out and murder those qualities? Is it the devil, as Sonia points out? Or, you know, what is, like, the devil inside of him that he hates, that he despises so much? Because I don't think it's as simply as he was trying to prove to himself, you know, that he was not a louse, and he was willing to, like Napoleon, stoop down and pick up the power that rests at all of our feet. You know, another interesting line, something, and this is not verbatim, but something along the lines of, like, you know, those who are right, those who are in the right, are those who decide to sort of be in the right. And those who are more cowardly, soft-spoken, timid, those are the law-abiding citizens. And those will be the ones who are trampled upon by those who believe themselves right and believe it their God-given right. It's not even that they so much have to think about that. They just feel it instinctively, that it's not, you know, a question. So tying back to the extraordinary man theory, it's not a question if they are in the right or the wrong, you know, if they are in it, more so that they are the right? Like, they are the power. They, you know, not even, so all they have to do is bend down and pick it up, because it's already inside of them. They just have to reach down low enough, you know, step on enough backs, spit in enough faces, then they will be where they want to be. Everybody else will sort of bow down to them and just, you know, do what they say, and they will not question them. And even if they think in the back of their minds that these people are not right, they're in the wrong, because they do nothing about it, it's essentially the same as saying, well, you are right, because they're allowing them the opportunity to continue to live this way, right? If that makes sense. You know, like, compliance, complacency is, you know, kind of like an accessory, I guess. You know, if you know about a murder being committed, even if you in the back of your mind don't think it's right, even if you're just like there, but if you do nothing about it, you're an accessory to murder. I'm getting off the path, but so yeah. So thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you later, and yeah, it's good to make a video again. Perhaps I'll start reading, trying to get through Crime and Punishment, because it's been quite a while since I picked up this book. the beginning of the summer, and we're now in November. So I'll see you guys. Peace.